not impossible to be a great artist, but it's definitely harder if you don't know this. Which is why, as you watch me draw this today, we're going to talk about some of the most uncommonly accepted and known hard realities of being an artist if you want to be a really good artist. But once you accept this, it's going to change everything for the best. Now, can we talk about one of the most popular misperceptions about what it's like being an artist, and especially while you're laboring over your product? So let me ask you this question. How are you and what do you look like while you're creating? Are you just ever so joyful? Are you just completely jovial over everything that you do? Every mark makes you happy. Everything's a total success. You're just eager all the time just to envision and create. Well, that's definitely not my experience. Actually, my experience is that sometimes art just sucks. Like, it's really not always easy to bring yourself to do the best version of it. And it doesn't matter if you're getting paid or if you happen to have the most bestest idea that you've ever had in your whole life, or you're working on your lifelong project. You know that project that you have right now. But personally for me, regardless of what project I'm working on, like, I feel incredibly anxious always at the beginning, always before I start, always before a certain point that I start to feel comfortable with my artwork. And what I've come to understand from this is just a simple fact that learning art is hard, executing it is hard, and sticking with that, it requires something special. But that something special is exactly why you got into this in the first place, my friend. And on that note, being an artist is something extremely exceptional and unique. And I want to allow you for a moment just to embrace that. You're not normal, and that's not strange, and it's not weird, it's not bad, it's not a pejorative. And to be honest, you don't want that. In fact, part of being an artist is rejecting normalcy, is rejecting kind of the mediocrity that you see a lot of people go through in their life. But that's not you, because you seek conquest over that. So in you learning to get past the suck, to get past everything that's going to come up, to get past every ugly part of your process, to get back everything that's holding you back, my friend, here's my advice for you, is I want you to embrace the fact that you are put on this earth and you have accepted your role to defy normality. You can be exceptional. And to do that, you're gonna have to conquer your moods. You're gonna have to conquer your limiting beliefs. You're gonna have to conquer those ebbs and flows of your process, because you are exceptional. And if you stick with it, you are going to do exceptional things that people aren't gonna believe until you do it. How's that sound? Now, can I share with you an epiphany I've had this year? I think you might find this relatable. So most hobbies and activities that you can engage in, there's just no end in sight to it. But for most of them, it's all about perpetual enjoyment, and it's all about really taking in everything that you do and it just giving you loads of pleasure. So I can think about this in terms of card games or video games, or even like leisure activities like golf. Like, people just play this stuff for years and years and years. And when they think about it and when they act upon it and they talk about it, they talk about the best aspects, and they talk about improvement, and they talk about just the enjoyment that they derive from that. But here's the curiosity coming into play versus art. Learning how not to quit is actually one of the most unspoken yet essential components of being an artist. Because look, you've got loads of reasons to quit at all times, and you've always had a plethora of reasons as to why you could or you could not do better, or you could or you could not make time, or you could or you could not execute at the level that you want to. And with art, I always notice is that all artists tend to have really awesome big goals and ambitions. We always have a big project. We always have some type of aspiration, something to hit, some project that we want to share with the world. We want to impact people, right? An unfortunate circumstance that I notice with that is that sometimes that gets the best of you. So you have to kind of learn, how do you quell your ambitions without lowering your standards? And I say that because one thing that I see common amongst artists of all ability levels is simply that when you set your goals high for yourself, you tend to ignore the steps that you need to take right now. And the step that you only need to take right now in this very current moment, my friend, is just this. Just create the next thing. When you are too focused on the end of your journey, you're not focused on the path getting there. And the path getting there is laid brick by brick from every single thing that you're doing right now. And what this does is when you stop looking at, well, I have to get there and I have to do this and I have to accomplish that, or XYZ person is going to be right about me, then you're gonna notice that you're combating your feelings of anxiety and overwhelm. And I say that because the future, my friend, it is yours, but it's gonna be yours for one of two things. It is either there to empower you to do everything you need to achieve that, or it's going to enslave you to your anxieties. And the choice is yours, but which one do you want? Now, if you want to help get to the end of your goal a lot faster, let me advise you, why don't you hit that like and subscribe so that you get more helpful tips and advice just like this in this video, because that's what I love to do. And if this is helping you, please make sure that you share it with somebody that you know. And hey, look, maybe you've been trying this for a while and you know this stuff already, but you just can't implement it. And that's where my one-on-one art mentorship comes into play. Listen, this is not a course, it's not a class, it's me and you working one-on-one to accomplish the things that you want to do at the pace you want to do it. I've helped people just like you totally supercharge their art business and be able to achieve everything that they didn't think they'd be able to do for years in a matter of months. And if that sounds like you, then go ahead and check out the link in my description, fill out the form, and I'll reach out to you soon. Now also, we got to talk about this big issue. Now, how about if you accept one of the biggest realities, which is that one of the biggest, baddest boogeymen out there right now is actually just a figment of your childhood imagination. And specifically, I'm talking about the fact that you might be feeling right now that there might not be any jobs in art. There might not be any prospects. You might have no clients or less clients. There might not be any more opportunities for you, and there might not be any future for you. And specifically what I'm talking about here is the influence of AI image generation over all of the artistic professions and all the artistic labors that you love and you hold so dearly to yourself. And here's what I want to let you know is that everything I just said is completely grounded in fear. And if you want to move forward in life, if you want to actually achieve what you want, you will never get there from a place of fear. And sometimes people will be like, well, Sean, but that's not true, because if I wasn't afraid, then I wouldn't have done this, or I wouldn't have done that, or I wouldn't have pivoted to do that. Okay, so thanks for proving my point there, because if you are just in fear, then you're not taking action. Then the only thing therefore to do is to take action. And how are you going to get past this fear, my friend? First off, let's identify the root issue here. Currently, what we're seeing here is just enthronement of technology and industry over humanity. But you as an artist, that's not really something that you need to be too concerned with. And that's not something that's ever gonna bring you to the forefront of what you want to be and where you wanna go in your life, my friend. And it's actually not that big of a deal. And what I see AI doing to the artistic communities and to artists is that we're sort of separated into three camps, which is the first off, you had the pro AI community. And I'm just gonna say that there's no artist that's really in favor of it. There's two versions of them, which is that number one, they're just submissive to it, or number two, they're trying to band-aid and excel in things that they're not quite ready yet. It's almost like if you were thrown into like an MMA boxing ring, but you had never really learned how to fight before. Second camp is obviously those of us who are against it. I'm personally against it, but I don't do it from a place of ignorance. I do it from a place of informed experience. Because one of the big things I want to do is I want to protect the inner self, and I want to protect authentic creativity, just like you do, I bet. And then you have a large majority in between each of those barbells, which is the scared. All right. And I don't blame you if you're in that camp. I don't blame you if that's currently your position right now, because it seems like we're just being inundated with all of this stuff and all of this fear mongering surrounding this. But my friend, I just want to let you know that's where they want to keep you, because when you're in fear, you're out of focus. The reality is this though, friend. Regardless of what you think a machine is capable of or not capable of or will be capable of, you're not programmable. You're not replicatable. You're the only person that's ever lived your life, that's ever done the things that you have done, that likes the things that you like, the way that you like to do it. That cannot be copied. That cannot be taken. So in order for you to conquer this, it's real simple, y'all. This is the end of technicians and the beginning of a dawn of a new era where we're gonna focus on actual artistry. We're gonna refocus all of our efforts towards things that machines can't create, human-based things. And I'm talking about how do we create moods, how do we create expressions, how do we do specific dynamics, how do we bring out the best in our storytelling. It is all about how do we connect with others through our imagery and not just pretty schoolgirl, pretty face girl. It's beyond that. That's what has been really conquering a lot of the art space ever since social media and art kind of had this ugly, toxic marriage together, but no longer, my friend. And the way I want to let you know how you're going to proceed through this current age is real simple. The power that you give AI image generation over yourself is going to be the degree to which you allow it to. How's that sound? Now let's examine a really unfortunate curiosity. Why is it that you will never find a less supportive network than when you declare your intentions to become an artist? What is up with that? Have you ever felt that your parents can be completely discouraging? They tell you that, no, that's not how we do things. No, that's not what we do in our family. No, that's not realistic. No, you're not going to get a job. No, you're going to be living in a cardboard box. No, I'm not going to support you on this. You got to get a real job. Have you ever been told that, gem, right there? Or did they just outright ignore you, hoping that you're going to grow out of it? Have they ever told you that, oh, well, because if you're a man, then you're not allowed to do that because it's too effeminate for you? That's a real thing. Or how about your friends? How do they treat you too? Or how about your partners too? That can be a real thing too. Do they look at it as something that is just taking your time away? There's nothing fruitful about it, that it's not going to be something that you really need to do. They think that you need to focus your efforts into your industry or into your job instead. Well, my friend, I want to advise you on how to do this. Now, if anything I said just resonated with you, I want to give you a really honest piece of pie, which is this. It is not their job, nor their obligation, to have unwavering, infinite support of everything that you do. But it is your responsibility to give them a reason to have faith and confidence in your pursuit of art. But as an example, even when I started this channel, my wife was afraid that it was going to take too much time away from our family, and then it would take a lot of time that we wouldn't be able to have with each other, and it wouldn't be very fruitful. And she's even recently said to me, like, Sean, I'm so glad that I was wrong about this. And while I go through that, and when I experience any type of discouragement by other people towards my artistry, my attitude has always been that I'm gonna prove them wrong, or I'm gonna show them through my efforts, through my results, why they should have confidence in me. And I'd like you to consider adopting the same philosophy. Because oftentimes we just expect people to know how we feel. We just expect people to give us unwavering showers of support without you giving them a real reason why. And if you take ownership over that fact, then you will enable them to actually be one of your big cheerleaders. How's that? And this doesn't come, by the way, from a spiteful place. It isn't like, screw you, mom and dad, hate you. It comes from a place of actual love, but I'll gift you this knowledge that action and results demolish doubt. So bring out your sledgehammer and destroy it. So my friend, are you strangling your creativity? Are you just choking the life out of all of your potential? Have you ever noticed as an artist that doubt and uncertainty are just grossly abundant in everything that you do, in everybody that you talk to, in every community that you go to? Why is that? So are you scared that you won't make it? Are you scared that you'll never reach the level that you want to? Are you telling yourself that you're not worth it? Well, my friend, I need to let you know this. You're right. Yes, that's right. I didn't stutter. You're correct. 100%, I validate everything that you say to yourself. And I say that because nobody can ever replace the voice in your head. Nobody can ever reprogram you to have different self-talk than how you're currently talking to yourself. And the issue there is that it becomes a self-fulfilling philosophy. If you believe that you can't, you 100% can't, because you shut yourself off to the possibilities of what you're going to be able to do, almost as if like you're carving the future into stone when it doesn't exist right there. If you believe that it's impossible, it will be impossible. But what if you entertain how you're going to do it? What if you entertain questions about how you could get there? What if you consider the fact that you're just at the precipice of unlocking that next level? One thing I want to let you know about being a human being is just a simple fact. We always default to negativity. 100%, you will always default to negativity for anything that's unfavorable for you. But a big issue that I see from a lot of artists is that we tend to become addicted to negativity, because you can chemically become addicted to negative thought processes. Do you ever know anybody like this? That's why. And then this is generally when, if I say to somebody, well, you can, they're like, no, Sean, I can't. And I can't do it because I was born here. I can't do it because I look like this. And I can't do it because I'm too poor. And I can't do it because nobody around me supports me. Okay, hold up though. What if you channeled that same exact energy into what you actually need to do? What if you channeled that same exact enthusiasm into your efforts? What if you took more time in the actual defense of your artistry than the defense of your excuses? What would that be like? What if you refocused all of that energy into empowering your excuses and instead took it upon yourself? Because one thing I've come to realize is that you will succeed while living with fear, acknowledging it, not ignoring it, than you will in fear of what could happen. You ever consider that? Now, may I share with you a deep realization I've come to that's gonna help you succeed and level up at a much faster pace, at a much higher level. And it's just this. And if I asked you, hey, what do you need to get better at? You're gonna say like, well, I need to get better at my line work. I need to get better at my lighting. I need to get better at anatomy. I need to get better at my shading. I need to get better at XYZ, a skill. I need to use this program. I need to use this technology. That's all great, but no, you will not. You will hit a plateau. I guarantee you this, I've seen it thousands of times. You're gonna hit that point to which you're just gonna look up and it's almost like you're literally standing on a plateau on a mountain and there's no footholds anywhere and you can't figure out, how do I climb up higher than that? Because I can see the summit, but I just can't get there. And here's the truth that you're not acknowledging, is that technical masteries alone are not going to make you a better artist. Just being an amazing technician, it's really not that special. And if you doubt me, like just go into any doctor's office, okay? You're gonna see this, all right? You're gonna see the most gorgeously detailed, beautiful paintings. Nobody cares about them. Nobody even looks at them. What is it? It's a cow, it's a flower pot, it's a barn. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about it. It's technically beautiful, completely devoid of passion, completely devoid of any real design. So what's the missing component here? What am I saying? No, I'm not just saying you need better thought. I'm saying this, is that you're overlooking the fact that you're not developing yourself as a person. You're not investing into your personal development. Because when you get down to what art is, it's an exploration of your interiority. It's an exploration of yourself. It's an exploration of your potential possibilities as a fellow human being. And that's what people connect with. That's what people resonate with. And nobody really talks about that enough. Like, for example, here, if you doubt me on this, do you ever get emotional while you're producing? Do you ever sit there and you start to have all these anxieties come up and you start to think about, maybe you go to dark places or you have this thought that comes up every once in a while? Why does that happen while you're making art? It's because art opens that gate. Art opens those doors that you've locked shut. It's impossible to do it because if you want to get better, if you want to improve, if you want to actually accomplish things, you have to accept this, is that your artwork will develop at the rate of you developing yourself. So if you want to evolve your art, you have to think about, what am I avoiding? What's going on in my life that's preventing me from moving forward? How am I victimizing myself, or how am I succeeding over those things? And how am I evolving my mindset? How am I evolving myself? Because your art will evolve alongside your character, but it will never evolve devoid of your character, because that's what makes it uniquely you. So let me tell you why every artist needs a huge graveyard to stand upon in order to reach the heights that they dream of. And let me ask you this. Are you afraid of things not looking right? Are you embarrassed by your current results? Are you downtrodden by the achievement gap between where you are and where you need to be? Are you looking at what you've drawn and you're just like, man, this just sucks. I'm such a failure. Man, mom and dad were right. I should have gone into accounting. What if you just accepted the fact, the ugly truth here, that you need to experience failure as an artist? And failure has such a nasty pejorative. Like, we literally think as failure as being final, when failure is literally the first step. I guarantee you this, friend. When you learned how to tie your shoe at first, you sucked at it. Everybody does. I guarantee you that when you first learned how to go potty, you missed a bunch of times. I guarantee you that when you learned how to walk, you fell down a crap load of times, okay? So what if you gave yourself that same exact grace with your artwork? What if you saw this as something that's just gonna take a long time? And what if you didn't see that as being anything bad? Because just real talk here, unless you have some unfortunate circumstances befall your mortality here, like, you're gonna be on this planet for a long time. So you need to stop thinking about time as something that is scarce for you and something that is instead a valuable resource for you to utilize. And it's okay if you're making those mistakes. It's not wrong of you. It's not flawed of you. It's not a reflection of you either, friends. Like, when you're writing down something you need to erase, you don't just think like, I suck, dang it. man, I'm a complete miserable failure of a human being. No, you erase it, you lay down, and you just go over it again. But with your artwork, you somehow take that so personally. Why is that? So with artwork, we tend to battle perfectionism too much. And perfectionism, I think, gets a misconstrued rap, because basically what that is it's just a mask for your insecurity. It's because you're not 100% certain on what it's gonna look like, how you're gonna get there, and just in all honesty, you're just not faithful to yourself that you're gonna be able to pull it off, and you entrench yourself into that logic. So instead, let's flip that script. Let's question, why did that happen? How do you get there? Maybe what new resources do you need in order to hit the level that you want to get to? One of the things I've come to realize that has helped me a lot and helped a lot of people is just this. Failure, you shouldn't shut it down. You shouldn't just accept it. You should analyze it. You should really study it. And also though, study success, because within any failure, there's also moments of success. And that's important because success leaves clues. And you need to be the detective that's gonna unravel that mystery. Once you do, then you know what to repeat and not to repeat. Now, what do you think is one of the number one reasons why most artists tend to go through these spells when they feel like they're just horribly dissatisfied and they're just dejected and they're not enthused about everything that they're making anymore? Because oftentimes I find that being an artist is much like just being dropped into the vast wilderness and then being asked to just find your way out and hope that you come out on the other side all right. And specifically, I want to ask you this question. What is your process like? Are you like the mystical magician that's like conjuring amazing, fantastical spells and creations in your studio? Or are you more of the tortured visionary who's painstakingly and torturously toiling over everything that they do, and it's a really wretched process? Now, what am I getting at? Just to bring it home, I'm talking about one of the biggest speed bumps that I always notice with artists, which is how they feel about their process, and specifically how insecure that they feel about their process. And I'm gonna blame a lot of this, by the way, right now on just the Instagramification of artwork, because you tend to look at the big boys and girls, right? And you look at their stuff and you're like, man, their stuff, it looks so much better. And it's just a sketch. You're like, man, that's just flat colors. And that looks amazing. And yours doesn't. Yours looks like crap, right? And one of the things that does, especially for artists that just aren't experienced enough, is that it makes them feel inadequate. It makes them feel like they're not doing enough. Like, it makes them feel like they're doing it wrong. Because when you take a look at other artists' versions of exactly the point of the process that you're in, yes, it does look better. But why is that? Ask yourself that. It's simply because of this, because they've been doing it more. They have more exposure to it, and you don't. And that's really all. So what does that mean for you, my friend? That means that you're gonna get there. That means that you will be able to get there. That means that it's not an impossible feat for you. But what if, instead of you worrying about how amazing it is or isn't looking right now, what if you just focused on the effort? What if you just see the beauty in what you have done? Because I want to drop this really big knowledge bomb on you, is that actually people don't appreciate the product in art. When you're looking at that amazing artwork by your most amazing idol in art, you're not actually appreciating their artwork. You're appreciating their effort. You're appreciating the artist, not the artwork. And that, my friend, is really what makes someone legendary, is when you can look at them and you can see all of the micro decisions that resulted in the culmination of that amazing image. But it's not the image, it's what led up to that. You realize that? So you might know this, but we live in a curious era. And with that, I want to ask you, what would happen if you took more ownership over your current knowledge and the gaps in your achievement? So let me just set the scene for you here. In the current landscape of art and art education, we have things like art schools, we have degrees, we have programs, you can get some modules, you can take some courses, some classes and all that. But let's say that you do all that. Let's say that you have done all of that. I've done all of that. Are you somebody that's being pushed and led to, you gotta go here, you gotta go here, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, you gotta go to this school, you gotta do that thing in order to get to that place? Well, I'd really like to share with you what I've learned about art education as somebody who is a professional art educator, has been for over a decade, and I've actually given people the most honest, raw advice about this, which is that first and foremost, if you're relying on any particular institution or degree or module training program or any type of other training to make you a better artist, That's your number one flaw. When we talk about art education versus art institutions, you have to stop glorifying and giving so much power to institutions and to particular companies that are going to be involved and invested into that one, okay? There's a lot of rhetoric surrounding how that will make you a better artist. Can it? Yes, absolutely. I went to art school. I'm not going to be one of those artists that just craps all over art school because I feel like now that I am at the place where I am that I don't think that you should go. No, I think that's a stupid logic. And I actually really resent that line of thought because every artist that complains about art school but went to art school and is now known, they wouldn't have been there without that experience. That's just truth. But one thing I've learned is that through going through those experiences and through having great courses and lousy courses, great teachers and absolutely terrible teachers, is that the greatest teacher is yourself. And oftentimes, if you're lost on what to do or how to improve or what you need to focus on, try just having a conversation with yourself. Like literally, it's okay. Like you're driving to work or something, or you're just alone and you're just like, okay, Sean, so what's up with this? What do I need to do here? Well, Sean, it's pretty obvious that you need to learn how to render shapes better. Okay, cool. What else do I need to do? Well, Sean, you really need to learn how you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna improve the lighting on this scene, or you're gonna improve the composition on this. Almost treat this as an out-of-body experience. Like it is you conversing with you in 10 years from right now, who's much wiser than you are. This sounds crazy, but it literally has helped me in so many circumstances figure out what to do in the absence of actual knowledge for what to do. But if you're not taking it upon yourself in order to make the best of every project that you do, in order to bring out the best potential in yourself and bring out the most fruitful efforts out of every single thing that you're doing, nobody else is going to do that for you, my friend. Stop looking externally and start looking internally. Especially right now in this current day and age, like there are more resources on YouTube that are free than we have ever seen in the landscape of art education. And then also, like you've never had more access to actual professional working artists. There are schools where like you're actually there with like super accomplished concept artists or illustrators, or you've also got like mentorships. Like I have my own mentorship. If you're interested in learning about my mentorship and how I can level you up real fast and real well, go ahead and check out the link in my description for it. But regardless of where you want to go with this, it always comes to you. It always starts with you, my friend, and nobody else can ever replace that. So what I'm going to advise you on here is stop victimizing yourself. Stop complaining about your lack of privilege for how you were or you weren't born into, the resources or the financial means or the way you look or the gender that you are or whatever it is. And instead start looking at how do you use that as a resource for yourself, and how are you taking ownership, or you're outsourcing that to something else, because that's just not sustainable. Now, what's the most common search for artists other than what their favorite brush pack is? I'm talking about the quest for motivation. Is this you, my friend, by the way? Are you constantly searching through this like you're some conquistador looking through the Amazon for the golden city? Like, if this is you, my friend, that might be your concern. And especially it would be your concern if, like, let's say nothing's going right for you. Do you feel like your life is just falling apart? Let's say that your art life just is in total shambles. What do you do when your art life is just falling apart? Well, to answer that question, I got an entire video for you right here. It's gonna give you all the help and advice that you need. Thanks so much and see you next time.